So this is the fifth session of the UX chat with Derrick. Uh, I'm I'm trying to upload to the YouTube channel for like so I'm trying some different things. I think the sound needs to be better. The sound needs to be better because I think I rewatched the one we did last time, and I think more efforts can be put into the more efforts can be put into the sound. So yeah, so today I'm trying a new setup, but hopefully along the line I should get a mic or something. Yeah, so let's see what happens. So today it's we're just going through some good and bad UX. Um, we've seen a lot of things about, oh, okay, this is nice, this is cool, this is this. But then UX design is it goes like beyond just making things nice. It's mainly making things usable. It's mainly making things usable. So today we are just going to look at some ways that real life situations have either been good, usable, or not unusable. Because at the end of the day, we are not looking to make a product nice alone, even though it's one of the priorities, but it's not the main. The major priority is to make the product usable. So if the product is not usable until if the product is not usable, no matter how much nice it looks, it's still not going to serve its purpose of a good UX. So you should we are so from what you're going to look at, you're going to learn a bit. We are going to see what characterizes good UX and then what characterizes bad UX also. Alright, so the first one we were saying a good UX has to be clean and has to be visual. This just means that it has to not have clutter. Everything that's seen on that particular screen has to be necessary to be on that screen. If it's not necessary and you put it on that screen, then you are hurting the cleanness of the interface. So if you take a WhatsApp chat screen like this, everything there is important. So if there is a redundant button there, it means it's going to hurt the flow of that particular interface. So another thing is use gestures mouse in a familiar way. So last time we talked about mental models. Mental model being the things your users already believe or the things your users are already familiar with. So if you put an arrow there pointing up and then your user knows, oh, this thing means swipe up, but then yours doesn't mean swipe up, yours means a different thing, then you are hurting the user's experience in your product. So if there are four arrows up, down, left, and right, and then yours when you press up, instead of going up it goes down, or instead of going left it goes right, you are not using these gestures or these things in a familiar way. You're not using these things in a familiar way. So you have to make sure that whatever that is in your interface is very familiar to the user. The other thing is only confirms clicks when necessary. So when you are giving a user, let's say, a form, you need to let the user know that, or you need to ask the user to confirm whatever information they've input on that form. So if you are, let's say, filling a credit card form, you need to give the user a modal that prompts them that, hey, you're about to pay with this and this and this card. Continue or click to proceed, so that the user is aware that this is what you are trying to do. Or if, let's say, you are trying to delete an element from your interface, or let's say the user is trying to delete a message, you need to give the user a modal that tells them that, hey, you are about to delete your message. Are you sure you want to continue? If you do not do that, users will be committing a lot of mistakes on your interface, and it will not be it will not be due to their negligence, but it will be due to the bad design that you've put there. So whenever the user is trying to do something important, you need to prompt the user to confirm. You need to confirm the clicks when they are necessary. There are sometimes that confirmations are not necessary. Something like, let's say, scrolling. If I want to scroll down, you don't need to give me a pop-up that asks me that that tells me you're about to scroll down. So click to confirm. No, it's totally unnecessary there. It's totally unnecessary there. So if you are having a very important element, a very important form or important action, it's very necessary to ask the user to confirm. Else users are going to lose a lot of things on your interface. Then information lives where it's expected to. This shows this is that if the user thinks or the user has learned from different experiences on other products, if they know that, okay, if I look at the top left button, I'm supposed to find my menu button there, but then on your product you didn't put it on the top left, put it on the top right. The user is expecting it to be on the top left. So if the mental model of the user tells them that I am supposed to find the menu bar on the top right, and then they go to the top right and you don't find it there, you have failed as a product designer, because you have failed to live up to that mental model that your users have of your product. Because we know that from the laws of UX, users spend more time on other products than they spend on your product. So if the user goes to your, let's say the user goes to your calendar button and the user clicks on the calendar button, and the user knows that from experience, when you click on the calendar button, a calendar pops up and you can click the date that you want. So if the user clicks on your calendar button on your product and that process does not start, or the user doesn't follow that particular flow, you failed a bit as a product designer in your product. So it's not just about making the products nice, it's about making them usable and following the mental models of the users that you already have. Then some of the bad things that we can find in product design is the first one: busy backgrounds, right margins, or text are heavy. So the first one, busy backgrounds. If let's say a login screen, the only thing we want a user to do on a login screen is to log into the account. That is all. You don't need to place an advert on login screen. You don't need to place any distracting thing on the login screen. The login screen is just to get users to log in. Something like Google's homepage. Google's homepage wants you to do just one thing. That is what, search for something. So if Google now start behaving like Yahoo and then making their homepage like a newspaper or a magazine, it's going to distract users from doing the most important thing that Google wants them to do on that particular screen. The next one is the right margin. So when you look at the Google's material design, their design system, or the Apple human design system, you realize that they have specific measurements for everything that they have. So if let's say your right margin is 16 and your left margin is 25, it's not going to look balanced. And if you do it on your web page or on your mobile, you realize that your design shifts a bit and it's not good for your users' experiences. And the next one, the text heavy. You should make your design or your interface as easy to follow as possible. You should make it as easy to follow as possible. You shouldn't fill it with so much text. Users do not read. This one thing you should keep in mind, that users do not read, they scan. So if a user have you ever opened a WhatsApp message? You open it and it was a very long message and then you quickly closed it. That's how every user behaves. Users don't like to read a lot of content. That is why YouTube and TikTok are taking off, because users would rather watch a 1 hour video than read 100 word SMS. So you should make your platform as user friendly as possible. You shouldn't fill it with so much text. You can just describe 100,000 word essay with just one picture. So if you have the luxury of doing that, you should go for it on your platform. Not everything deserves an essay or an explanation in text. You can use videos, you can use pictures, you can use sound, something just to keep the users on your platform. And the next one requires typing or excessive clicking. As much as possible, you've got to reduce the user's mental load, or you've got to reduce the amount of work the users have to do to complete an action. So let's say you are searching for countries, and then instead of making the country, some countries have long names. So instead of making the countries, making that entry and input um, section, you can make it maybe a drop down or a search bar. So once the person starts typing the first two or three words in the name of the country automatically pops up and the person just clicks it instead of allowing the user to enter that entire text. So in doing that, we are reducing the stress or the amount of steps that the user takes to complete an action. Something like a date. So if your user has to enter a date or a time period, you shouldn't let the user type it manually. You can make a calendar drop down and the user can just select it from the camera the calendar, and it's easy like that. Then the next one, what interrupts user action with excessive notifications. This is one thing that a lot of users don't like. If the user is completing a task, let the user complete that task. Um, do not interrupt the flow of the user with unnecessary notifications. So if the user wants to, let's say, um, sign up for your or register for your product or your service, you shouldn't put an ad in the middle of what they are doing. It's going to disrupt the user. It's going to disrupt the user, and some users can get pissed off and then drop off from even what they were doing. Then last one, unconventional navigation. That's linked and links aren't clearly marked. So realize that on the Google search results page, whenever there's a link, it's marked in blue. When you've clicked the link already, I think it's purple. So you should make your links as distinct as possible from normal text. So if something is clickable, you should make it look clickable. Either you put it in a button, or you change the color, or you underline it, or you something. You shouldn't make text, normal body text, the same as clickable text. Else users are going to miss a lot of things on your platform. Then, so we will just from now we just look at some of the good or bad designs that we can see in our real life, and then we'll talk about it's why it's bad and why it's good. So this one, okay, so this one is on the right. The user comes here and the user sees that okay, storms, harvest, leaves. So now, what is the user supposed to do? This doesn't tell the user what to do. It doesn't give an indication of how to select anything. It just gives you a list. But on the right, which is a good one, the first thing that you see is on the top, there's a progress bar. So another law of UX is that the user would most likely complete a task if they know how many more steps they have to go. So let's say if the user knows that okay, there are three more steps for me to go, the user is more likely to complete that task than they not knowing how many more steps there are. And the next one, the image in the middle is bigger. So you should try as much as possible. And the image has more color on the side. You should try as much as possible to make your images stand out because they are also a very important part of your interface. The next one are the selections. So now the user knows that they can select multiple options. And the last one is a click to the call to action. So the first one didn't have a call to action, but then the second one has a call to action. So the user knows that there are more steps to go. And the top here, the progress bar tells the user that okay, from here we are going to section 2, or from here we are going to this step. But the first one didn't have anything to tell the user where we are going. The only thing we have is the next. And then where this next is placed is also a bad thing or a bad design choice, because normal users click with their thumbs. So if a person is clicking with their thumb, the person would have to move their hand to the top of the phone before they can click there. But if you want to make things easier for the user, we should just put a click to the call to action at the bottom of the screen, so the user can just click easily with their thumb. The next one we have is the the WhatsApp delete mechanism. So whenever we are on any platform or anything at all, any interface, any product, any system, and you click delete, at once we know the thing is supposed to delete. But on the WhatsApp deleting system, what happens is that once you delete a message, it's going to tell the other person that you have deleted the message, which is quite a bad user experience, because if I wanted the person to be aware that I have deleted a message, or if I wanted the person to be aware, I would have just told the person. So this also does not follow. This shows that this does not follow the normal user's mental model of items deleting as soon as I click delete. So if you are building a product, don't do this. As soon as a user clicks, as soon as a user clicks delete, be sure to delete whatever the user is trying to delete. Okay, so the next one, for the difference between this, the bad UX and then the good UX, is that firstly, the good UX is easy to read. The good UX is easy to scan. The good UX is easy to understand. Now, we know from convention that the color red signifies something important, maybe danger or a caution or something. So if you are going to ask the user to do an action like delete, it's a very important decision the user is going to make. So you have to make things as clear as possible. So instead of going for the color blue, it's best to go for the color red, because we normally associate red with danger, caution, and other stuff. So the other thing is that you're able to break down the copy there or the text there into a list. So the user sees the good UX, and the user can know that whatever they are going to do is good before even reading, is going to affect their profile, their messages, and their photo. But then in the bad UX, the user would have to read everything before they even understand what they are supposed to do. Another thing that distinguishes the good UX from the bad UX is that on the good UX, before even you read anything at all, you see the bin at the top. And you once you see the bin at the top, you instantly know that okay, this has got to something to do with trash or to remove something or something I don't want there anymore. So simple things like just an icon, making things a list, and then changing the color from blue to red, totally changes your UX from from bad to good. Another thing is that the error messages that you give to your user. So let's say the user enters their email and the email is wrong. Instead of telling the user that error 123 blah blah blah, you should go ahead and tell the user that your email is wrong. There have been certain discussions between developers and security experts and then the UX designers, because the developers will be talking about, and the security guys will be talking about privacy. That if somebody is trying to hack your email and you tell the person that okay, the password is wrong but the email is correct, then the person has more chance. That's understandable. So what you can do is, as much as possible, not all the time though because of security issue, as much as possible, make sure to make your error messages as clear as possible for the user. So instead of telling the user operation could not be completed, error, this, let the user know what is happening, or let the user know the mistake they are making so they can correct it better. All right, the other one is form. So for forms, you need to make the forms as straightforward as possible. You shouldn't let the user go through a lot of stress to fill your form. Now the first form shows the good form shows that everything is in a straight line. So once I enter my email, my name, I come down, enter my email, I come down, enter my password, then down, then down. But then for the bad form, I enter my name on my left, then go and enter my email on the right. Even the space for the email is not big enough. So, and we are making the email and the SMS a drop down. So what we can do is that look at the amount of space each of your inputs or your file input boxes or your, yes, that input box needs. So if it's a name, you make it big, email, make it long, password. So you have to make everything as easy to look at as possible. So if a user is using, let's say, a small phone, the user doesn't have to struggle before they can see whatever they have to fill on your form. I've had some experiences with forms, online forms, that there were some input fields that were missing. So it was when I went to sign up or when I went to submit the details that I realized that there were some parts that have errors. So I had to go back and fill them. So as much as possible, make your UX easy to look at. Then we have this. You should make your design as effortless as possible. You should make users go through the least effort as possible. So the first one, what happens is that the bad UX or the bad design, what happens is that we are asking the user to type everything. And earlier we mentioned some people have very long names, some people have very long emails, people have very long states and countries. So if you're expecting them to type everything, it's going to mean they have to put in a lot of effort to fill your form. So if you make it as easy as possible for the users, you are going to realize that people are going to fill your form, or people are going to complete your form. So what happens is that as much as possible, things that you realize your users have in common, you can put them in a drop down or a search bar. So something like a city. If you come to Accra, we have the same number of cities. I don't have a different number of cities than another person in Ghana. So if I'm creating a form for Ghanaians, I can put all those cities into a drop down and then add a search feature. So anytime somebody wants to fill the form, the person clicks on city. The person can just search maybe the name, maybe the first three words of their city name, and then they can click on whatever they want. Instead of allowing people, so some a name like Odododio is very long. So instead of letting the user type everything, you need to help the user a bit. You need to help the user a bit. So as much as possible, put in mechanism, put in mechanisms that make users put in the least effort in order to complete your field. Then this is from the iPhone. So cannot take photo, there's not enough available space to take a photo. You can manage your storage in settings. Now the problem here is that the call to actions are not clear enough. If I click done, is it going to take me to settings? If I click done, what is going to happen? Is it going to fix the error? Is it going to do this? Or if I click setting, is it going to fix the error? Or is it going to give me to settings where I'll fix the error? So the call to action here is not clear enough. That's one. That's the major thing that is wrong with this design. So the best thing we can do is that we can make it cancel, or yeah, we can make it cancel and then settings. So cancel, so settings can be the primary button, and then cancel will be the secondary button. So if the person wants to go to settings, fine. If the person wants to cancel this, fine. Or there can be a small X here to cancel the modal. So anything other than using the same or similar things here for a call to actions. All right. So the next one is putting too long a form in your drop downs. So there's a common rule that if the list has more than 10 elements, you shouldn't put in a drop down. Now there's one way to, or yeah, this you can use this way or this method to go around this. If let's say you have a list of countries, you have about 200 or 100 and something countries, you would know from your user research the most popular countries that your users are from. So now you can take the top 10 most popular countries that your users are from and then put them at the top of your list. So if your users are from Ghana, Nigeria, US, and the rest, you make sure that the very popular countries are at the top of your list. So if a user clicks on this, there's a very high chance the user is from one of the 10 countries that are very popular on your platform. And so they won't have to scroll very long. Do you understand? So what we are doing right now is giving the user an an easier way of selecting a country in a faster way, because the user won't have to scroll. Imagine Venezuela is a very popular country that your users are from, and you don't do that most popular countries list at the top. So every time your users come here, they have to scroll down to the end. That will be a bad experience, and users might not come back. So the best thing to do is to put the most popular countries at the top, or the most popular elements in your list at the top, so that your users can get access to them easily. Now, the next one is a modal that doesn't have clear call to actions. So it's saying that if you want to cancel, click no. If you want to cancel, is this shipping to the USA or Canada? If your answer is no, you click cancel. If your answer is yes, you click OK. This is very confusing. You shouldn't let your users feel like they are writing an exam on your platform. This has to be an easy. This has to be as easy as possible. This has to be as easy as possible. So one thing you can do to solve this issue, the question is this shipping to the USA or Canada? You can have two buttons here, one for USA, one for Canada. Or you can have a drop down and ask the question, where is this shipping to? And the drop down has USA, Canada. Then you click on it to reduce the stress that your users will go through here. Alright, so I think this concludes the good and the bad UX. Um, yeah, so you should make sure that whatever you are designing, you shouldn't always think about, is it nice, is it nice, is it nice. The best thing to think about, or the first thing to think about, is it usable? Is it usable? How is it going to solve my users' problems? How is it going to make my users move faster? So these are some of the things you have to think about when we are designing a product, or where we are going through the user flow or the user journey of an average user. Alright, so thanks for coming. This will be uploaded on the YouTube any moment from now. So yeah, you can send me an email if you have a question. You can send me some of the designs you've done. My email will be in the description. Or you can check my about and you can find my email there. Alright, thank you for coming. See you tomorrow.